go.
Do it.
Let's go now. So
go.
Live from your greenwashing panic bunker. People don't talk about greenwashing anymore. That's so...
Or panic bunkers enough.
It's a Business Pants Friday show here at October 3rd Studios featuring Analyst Hall Matt Moscardi. On today's weekly wrap-up, Trump
Are you trying to portmanteau that?
Trump Pfizer. Ready for this one? The FDA actually does something good.
I saw.
It almost seems like it can't be right. And the rise of the Broco CEO.
Broco CEO.
Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. And I say this.
Yeah, it is that. Applause.
All right, shut
them.
up, audience.
You want?
You're only
shut
applauding
up?
because the applause sign came on. I don't think they really believe it. The applause sign went on.
Jeez,
now listen to me. We get pushback all the time from investors and from fuddy-duddy ESG professionals in our field that we're too aggressive, we're having too much fun, we're too flippant.
Yeah, insipid, I think was one word.
Insipid. You can't vote out directors. It's too mean.
There's a lot of
stuff.
that. Can't vote out directors.
But we see article after article that the directors themselves want their fellow directors voted out.
No one wants to be there. No one wants to be there.
So I say this to all corporate directors: go to freeflowanalytics.com, build the case against your fellow directors, and if you want, send it back to us, and we'll help promote it.
I love that.
Because we know, and you know, that there is some dead weight on these corporate boards. Absolute dead weight.
I mean, how often have you been in a room with
Never.
10 or 15 people
Well,
and
that
looked
never
around and you
anymore,
were
thank
like,
God.
you know who
I mean, what are we
you
doing
would
here?
vote off the island. You know,
Hey, I hate to break it to you people. Even when you watch the Celtics versus the Knicks, there's guys on the bench.
yeah, there are people
They're
who
not
don't
doing
get to
anything.
play.
Some of them never play.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
All right, let's go. Ready?
All right, our story of the week?
Yeah.
Story of the week.
I didn't like this.
That just seems to be the refrain for 2025. I didn't like this.
Usually you're the depressed one, but this week with the story I did not pick is the government shutdown. I could have, but I was like, it's too overwhelming.
Let's just say that the government shut down. Doge did not, for some reason, and the effect of the government shutdown is a highly politicized attack on anyone who didn't vote for Trump. Like they're just going to fire all those people, shut down all those states, whatever.
But that's not what this show is about.
But we're not a political show.
Get off your political high horse. I also read that
that's what happened.
Speaking of Doge, they said the shutdown will lose the government is it $15 billion a day? So this doesn't seem very cost effective. But let's get off of that. But unfortunately, where I landed was that there's just a lot of stories. Things that are continuing, a lot of stories that are continuing. And I'll give you an example.
Give me an example.
Like the war against women. This 2025, we've been pointing out week after week that this whole this coded DEI word, which is really just a war against people of color and women, it just keeps going. So
don't leave out the gays.
So true. This week, actually, Elon Musk gets to that later. I have that later. Here's what I'm talking about. Uber not responsible for sex assault jury finds. This is from the New York Times. And I know that you're covering some of these stories. So tell me if you want to go in depth on some of these stories now, if you want to go later.
Look, let's do it. Let's just talk about it now, and then you get to choose later. I warped up my segment.
The Uber one's tricky. So the judge said that Uber would be responsible for the women's harm if the company was negligent in using adequate safety measures, and the negligence was a substantial factor in causing the harm, right? Now, the jury said that absolutely that the negligence did happen, that Uber had been negligent in its general safety practices, and that in fact that they focused more on growth than they did on taking care of this, but they ruled that it was not a substantial factor in causing the attack. But how could the jury? That's such a burden for the jury. Right? How could they prove that negligence caused the attack? Like that's almost impossible, right? I mean, what kind of a bullshit?
Is it Uber's job to stop the attack, or is it Uber's job to make every piece of safety preparation available?
But well, I don't understand. They're negligent in creating the safety practices
that would allow for the attack to happen.
How? Yeah, I know it's not necessarily like Uber's
but they
fault.
weren't. See, the Uber wasn't the guy who assaulted the woman. That's
right,
the problem.
Exactly.
The guy had to be named Uber Jeffries or something in order.
I'm sorry, but here's the part societally that they get wrong, and the thing that this is the thing that we're not talking about anymore. This is the reason why I'm angry at Elon Musk's pay package. It's not for all the corporate governance bullshit and whether he's worth it and all that nonsense. It's like the erosion of our culture and society. Uber should not be allowed to get stinking rich on creating a taxi company where there is a high level of assault against its female passengers. I'm sorry. Like, someone has to be held responsible for this. Somebody. Because we're now living in this world that's just being more and more controlled by these tech billionaire baby bros, right? And there's just no accountability for any of it. This is what makes me crazy, but I'm already going too long on my first story here. The second one is Trump is he's actually going after an executive at Microsoft named Lisa Monaco. Notice it's a woman. Everyone that Trump targets is a woman,
they're all women.
A person of color, or both, right? Now, she is someone who, I guess, worked at the Justice Department and was involved in the Justice Department's response to the January 6th attack. So, you remember the insurrection back in 2021. And now she's basically telling Microsoft to fire.
That was a sightseeing expedition.
Right, okay. But now he's basically calling out a publicly traded company to fire one of his executives. I mean, we've gone full crazy. I mean, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah,
full nonsense. Full crazy.
It's also like not like a top. It's like she's just, if she'd be like a regular hire that wouldn't even really
happens
make our
all
radar.
the time.
She's not. She's an NEO.
There are so many.
There's a million of these
men and women that jump right from the government to either very high paid jobs at corporations where they probably don't do much, or board seats where they do less. We see this all the time.
I have a side note later. I have a prediction about Apollo Global Management. Speaking of like going from the government to, a company. But at Apollo, did you know that their sustainability committee, which they took so seriously, there's 4 women on the board. The sustainability committee is 3 of the women plus anti-woke, anti-ESG ex-Senator Pat Toomey. So, these guys just jump right onto corporate boards, right into corporate life all the time. That's totally normal.
So I wonder what's going to happen at Microsoft. Satya Nadella has, he's not like on the A list of buddies with Trump, but he's cozying up. But he shows up to the dinners, right? He goes to the dinners.
I did the oligarchy circle last week on this show, right? Like Satya Nadella's second string, right? Like he's a bench player in the oligarchy. He comes in occasionally, but you notice who's all the bench players? All the bench players are the brown people, the Asians,
that's true. The gays.
The gays, like all the central players are like a bunch of white tech bros, right?
Yes,
like
the Ellisons, the Altmans, the Zucks.
The Murdochs.
And then the other attack on women, this horrible one, this is 2025 is the year of anti-DEI. So much, in fact, that we don't even hear from the original anti-DEI troll, Robbie Starbuck. Remember, we talked about him all last year because we don't even need to hear from him this year because everyone's doing the work for him and no one is fighting back that I can see. But the other horrible story from this week, I actually have 2 more. The headline is Military Women Fear Losing Every Bit of Ground as Hegseth Looks Backward to the 90s. So basically he's creating a test that he arbitrarily set from the 90s and saying basically that if you're not up to code as a military person based on 1990s version of a good soldier, then we're going to get rid of you. Because I guess that's when he's saying that's when wokeism began in the 90s. That's when women started being allowed in combat and things like that.
So he acts like, I think the quote he
all
had
arbitrary
is,
hate.
is 1990 seems to be as good a place to start as any, right? Like
what kind of evidence
this is
what kind
the
of research
Secretary
is
of
this?
Defense of the United States, who we don't have to cover it, but spent like an hour lecturing people who are actually, he was a talk show host, right? Like
he looks like that, yeah.
But 1990 was the last year. In 1991, in Bush 1, 1991, they allowed women to fly warplanes in the Persian Gulf War. It was the first removal of a prohibition of women in the military. It was one of the first times they were allowed to do something like that. And he was like, 1990, seems as good a date as any. It just happens to be the year before they let women do stuff, right? That's insane. And he passes it off like, oh, it's just a random date. Why not 1990?
And listen to this rhetoric, calling it a softening, weakening, gender-based pursuit of other priorities. This is the language that's being used. And finally, this weird misogyny going on at, of all places, of course, a golf tournament. So the headline was that the PGA of America, the CEO is apologizing. I guess there is a player, an Irish guy. I don't follow golf, shockingly. Rory McIlroy. So I know. His wife was basically abused and taunted. They had beer thrown at her. She was crying. It was really horrible. And but I wanted to point this out. The CEO apologized, but the president, Don Ree, he took a different approach. He said, "Well, you have 50,000 people there that are really excited, and heck, you can go to a youth soccer game and get some people who say the wrong things." And he's saying that he said when asked about the abuse against the player's wife, he says, "Yeah, I'm sure it happened. Rory understands things like that are going to happen." So again. This is where we're at. Like it is just like the 2025, right? It's just the last week it was the blaming mothers and women for making their kids autistic, right? Yeah, it's just an ongoing assault. But that's my first story of the week: is the war on women continues. This is a real fun way to start the show. I realize.
Way to kick us off. What could you have next?
The next one is fake billionaire man baby retirements continue. And this time it's Spotify CEO Daniel X. It's his turn. So
his non-step down.
Yeah. So and I have a lot more to say about Daniel X later in my later in the show. So maybe I'll just move quickly here. But he's stepping down. There's two co-CEOs taking over, and of course he's actually not stepping down. He's remaining as executive chair. In fact, he even said, "I will be more involved than a typical U.S. chair." Which two things are interesting about that. First of all, he's suggesting that U.S. chairs don't do anything, which is probably true because the CEOs.
That's not wrong, is it?
He's not talking about the cases where the chair is also the CEO. He's talking about independent chairs,
right?
Because as we pointed out, you shouldn't have CEOs on the board because it basically nullifies the chair's role.
I thought in the bylaws, the role of the independent board chair was to hang out with the CEO.
Yeah, to buddy up.
I thought that was it. I didn't think there was any other thing. You convene a meeting where you hang out.
Remember, Daniel Ek was also the goofball who said that he was the least powerful person at Spotify. Remember, he very charmingly said that he was the least powerful person at Spotify. So anyway, the reason why I mentioned this story is because this keeps coming. We keep seeing these co-CEOs taking over. Remember, last week we saw it at Oracle under executive chair Larry Ellison. He's also the founder. Now we're seeing it at Spotify. So much that our friend Lila should know that. Lila McClellan wrote coverage of this called "The Rise of the Bro Co-CEO" at Fortune magazine.
Great alliteration right there.
Yeah, citing some of our research. So thank you, Lila. We love Lila, although I hear she's leaving Fortune, which is not good for us.
It's sad for us. But
I mean, I'm sure she's happy about the next step in her career, but I'm not happy about it because I like the coverage at Fortune.
I'm waiting for another journalist like Lila to realize that there is information out there about directors that suggest these things matter. It would be nice.
So that's the second story. Is this ongoing? I don't know what's happening. It's just like these billionaire man babies are they're.
This is easy. It's easy to know what's happening because and this is
just leave your
pioneered.
company.
This is pioneered by Sergey and Larry at Google, right? Like the founders of Google pioneered this by stepping onto the board as executive chairs of the board or
Bill Gates.
executives on the board and disappearing from this means Daniel Ek no longer has to go to a press conference or like a earnings call. He no longer gets asked why are you devaluing?
Why you're destroying artists?
Why are you destroying artists' lives anymore?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to deal with that. All he has to do is exercise his dual class voting power and make all the money, right? Like it's a brilliant strategy. And making co-CEOs is even more brilliant because who do you ask a question of? Nobody knows.
And look at the headlines. Like this is from Barron's. Spotify's CEO Daniel Ek to step down. The stock is falling.
He didn't.
But that's how they're mischaracterizing this.
Yeah, they have no idea. Look, get the free flow analytics data set. It's free.
All right. So the third story of the week, the CEOs and Trump love affair continues. This week, it's particularly galling to me. It's particularly I hate this so much. So Trump and Pfizer agree to lower U.S. drug prices, exempt company from farmer tariffs, right? That's the most important thing there, right? He basically announced these tariffs that might
any drugs made overseas,
except it wasn't it hadn't happened yet. I think he just sort of said it.
He's doing tariffs while he's taking a shit, right? Like he's just like, I know.
But notice that Pfizer jumped into this because they're just concerned about themselves, right? And this is what they're letting happen. Partnering with Pfizer, beginning in 2026, the federal government will have a website, TrumpRx.gov. Pfizer is signing off on this. I mean, I'm sorry.
You can buy drugs through TrumpRx.
Pfizer. I mean,
I want to buy steak and water on it too. Yeah.
I mean, are you not serious, people? So I looked at the Pfizer board. Pfizer was interesting last year. First of all, 46% of shareholders said no to say on pay at Pfizer, which is an extremely high number. But unfortunately, the chair of the compensation committee, James Smith, he received 93% support. So I don't really know what the hell is going on there. But shareholders are pretty angry.
Smith's fault.
It was pretty angry with pay. But here are some of the. Maybe this will give you some insight into why all corporations are just doing Trump's bidding, because this is just a protected class of just like CEO buddies. Here are some of the powerful board members at Pfizer. Former Vanguard CEO and chair Mortimer Tim Buckley, right?
Yeah.
How about this one? OpenAI board member and former Meta board member Susan Desmond-Hellman.
Yeah, also Gates Foundation, former
Deloitte CEO Joseph Echevarria, Adobe CEO Chair Shantanu Narayan, former Goldman Sachs Vice Chair Suzanne Nora Johnson, the Coke CEO and Chair James Quincy, that's Coca-Cola, former State Street Global Advisor CEO Cyrus Taraporevala, and the aforementioned compensation committee chair, James Smith, who was the former Thomson Reuters CEO. So they're not going to push back. I mean, this board's not going to push back. Whatever CEO and chair Albert Bourla wants at Pfizer, I guess this board's just going to do. I mean, I'm sorry, but I find this to be a bit of a disgrace. I mean,
well, look, if you're James Quincy, the Coca-Cola CEO, don't you want to announce TrumpDo.gov where you're selling aspartame laced fizzy water through the government
just
take care
website? Take care of your own company. Don't think about America. Don't think about the stakeholders. Don't think about what Trump's doing. Just worry about yourself.
You're just describing capitalism. That's the way that works.
It doesn't have
self-interest.
It doesn't have to. That's the third story, that CEOs and Trump love affair. The fourth is Elon Musk back in the news, kind of fighting for attention this week. He's kind of dropped out for a while. It's nice to see him back. Here are some of the headlines that we collected.
Is it nice to see him back?
Here's some that we collected. Elon Musk speaks out on controversial $1 trillion Tesla pay package. He said, "It's not about compensation." He actually said this. "It's not about compensation, but about me having enough influence over Tesla to ensure safety if we build millions of robots.
He has a long track record of incredibly safe
Think how
things.
scary this is, though. But why do we want a private sector asshole? I'm sorry, but why do we want this idiot monster to be building millions of robots in the first place? Like what future do we have lying ahead where the billionaires are building the robots? Like,
how many of the robots do you think like my neighbor's gonna have? Do you think it's like these robots?
I hope they have a lot, because they might need to play defense. I don't know.
These robots, aren't they just personal armies? You're just building a personal army.
Yes. I mean, the government and the billionaire CEOs are going to have all these robots. Like, should we have an 11th amendment to the Bill of Rights where we add like the right to bear robots?
Right.
Like, because I mean, what the fuck? What is happening? I mean, this is just ludicrous to me. Other headlines from Elon Musk. Elon Musk makes history as first person ever to hit $500 billion net worth milestone.
Yeah, but look, it's not about compensation.
No, it's not.
Just
about
because he
power.
has $500 billion that he could tap and spend. It's not about that. It's about robot safety.
New evidence links Elon Musk to Epstein Island.
Yeah, but there were no robots there. That's why he got linked.
Elon Musk calls Wikipedia too woke, announces his own Grokpedia. That sounds horrible. And finally, the cancel wars of 2025 continue. Elon Musk implores people to cancel Netflix over a canceled TV show. I guess that it was a TV. It's not even on anymore.
It hasn't been on for 3 years.
But there was like a trans person in it. Is my takeaway.
I think so. I think
right?
It's the opposite.
Well, I shouldn't say a person, a character, right? No. Tell me.
It was an animated show, and I think it was like about conspiracy theories in the government but they were real, and it got canceled. It got decent reviews, and it was fine, but it was like expensive to make, and nobody wanted it really. So I think they canceled it, but now there's some resurgence because Elon Musk saw it, I guess. I don't know if he saw it like Thursday or what. I don't know what the deal is.
He blamed.
It is incredible. We're just looking for something to be angry at.
Blamed.
If we're going to shows for 3 years ago that nobody watched to be angry that it's not on the air anymore, what are we doing? We got no time?
He's posted on Twitter X saying that Netflix was smuggling transgender woke agenda into your kids. Again, Tesla board.
It was an adult animated show. What kids? What are you even
Tesla
talking
board.
about?
Here's yet another reason to fire your CEO. I mean, this guy is not good for the world. Anyway, and finally, this is not really a story of the week, but I had to point this out just because maybe I'll just call this like more CEO ass kissing or more just stupidity or. This is from DealBook. I always pay attention to DealBook from the New York Times because I love it when they just have stupid stuff in there. So they had a section today where they talk AI with CEOs. It's a corny little segment they do.
How is this different from Business Insider, which everyone makes fun of?
Is this the DealBook? I hope someone from DealBook reaches out to us. I would love to talk to anyone. But this is Talking AI with CEO William Stone of SS&C, a major investment fund administrator and transfer agency. I don't know what any of that means, but this is a large cap company. They asked him, "How do you personally use AI?" And the CEO said, "This is all a quote from the CEO said, I'm interested in horse racing. And I own horses.
Ooh, that's
I
nice.
use AI to track how they're doing. There are all kinds of statistics, like how far can they travel before their performance starts to deteriorate. If they're in Kentucky, can they go to California? Can they go to New York?
Wait,
that's it. That's what he said.
Don't they have Microsoft Excel you could do that on?
I don't know. What are we doing?
What are we
doing? I don't understand. What are we doing? DealBook, why are you wasting space on this bullshit? Like, I don't. What is happening?
What a waste. And seriously, when asked the question, could you think of a more CEO douchey thing to say than I track the horses I own and their performance?
Worst. This is what CEOs are doing with their wealth. This is what they're doing with their wealth. But don't worry, I'm sure he'll promise, like all the others, that when they die, they'll give away 95% to their children's foundation or something.
We're literally talking about like AI destroying humanity, and this jackass is getting airtime on DealBook.
Out of control.
To like do what he could do on a spreadsheet.
Have fun with those stories of the week. What do you think story of the week?
All right, so to recap, we've got war against women. We've got man-baby retirement, fake retirements. The CEOs and Trump, Musk fighting for air, and just dummies on DealBook, which I can't choose dummies on DealBook. It's not a story.
That was just for me. That was just
a troll.
I'm triggered by very few things. Usually, it's either Jeffrey Sonnenfeld at Yale or DealBook. Those are the two things that get me. The only thing in
the Musk one that I find interesting is that his net worth hit $500 billion. And I don't know how many times I have to remind people. We did a Tesla analysis of the pay packages, and that's a plural, that we put on social media. It's free. You can just find it. Just email me if you want it. And one of the things that we point out is that he's not asking for $1 trillion pay package. He's asking for an extra trillion because he's going to be worth 1.7 trillion if all of the things that he says he's going to do happens. So he's worth more than $1 trillion even then. And it strikes me that he's already worth 500 billion. How much more do you fucking need, right? Like how much... Like I guess maybe he's right that it's not about compensation, it's about control. Because
power.
You don't need more trillion. You don't need more than the 500 billion.
And frankly, we don't need millions of robots. We don't need any of it.
And no one needs a robot. So you could just stop doing it. What we need is investors to actually vote against the board and get him and his brother and everybody else off of it. You have a chance this year to declassify that board, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Let's start somewhere, people. I know everyone's concerned with shareholder and shareholder value and all that. What about the idea that we're just investing in companies that just do nothing for us? It's going
to be the thing about shareholder value is if you put all the AIs on the interweb and you have them trade the stocks, you actually can disconnect shareholder value from anything real anyway, right? Like it's all make believe. But I'm not going to give Musk more air. I don't really care.
Where's the Business Roundtable anyway? It's only been 6 years since, remember their purpose of a corporation. Where are they to talk about this? They must hate this, right?
Didn't they retract that?
Did they actually? Did they officially retract it?
I think they backed off of it. I think they basically.
I thought they just ghosted it. I didn't know they actually officially.
I know. I think they disowned it. They were like, no longer.
Great. Yeah.
That leaves CEOs and Trump, fake billionaire man baby retirements, and the war against women. I think the war against women is an ongoing story more than the story of the week, but it's really hard not to choose it with that Trump, Hegseth, Quantico speech. They were fucking unhinged. I mean, everybody's, if you watch 3 minutes of it and you're like, this is the least professional, least interesting, most unhinged thing that's happened so far in a totally unhinged universe.
And that's why I think it's okay for CEOs not to immediately jump in bed with Trump just because it benefits your company. Like, I mean, he's attacking your whole industry. And I know you're meant to compete with the people in your industry. But Pfizer, I mean, what about getting together and forming a coalition and trying to fight back against this instead of just jumping right into bed with this lunatic?
My problem with it is they're all spineless.
There are other ways.
Right? Like they're all spineless.
That's it.
They're fucking,
so what are you voting for?
They're all man babies.
The horrible war on women.
It's down between the fake retirement or the war on women. I'm going to give you the war on women as an option when we get to my section anyway. So I'm going to skip that and maybe you can do it. I'm going with Daniel Eck.
Yeah, because let's applaud Lila, the rise of the bro co-CEO. That's why you're doing it.
First of all, not only
because she quotes us, that's why you care.
That's why we're. But what I like about it is that someone's finally getting the narrative right. What Lila's wrote about is she's getting the narrative right, because the headline that he's stepping down is the same headline where Target CEO Brian Cornell is stepping down. They're wrong. They're
Yeah,
not
they're wrong.
stepping down.
No, if anything,
they're still there.
They're keeping their shares, probably getting the same money as executive chair. They're not going anywhere.
Less, they make as much as an executive, and they have all the shares still. What are you talking about?
He already said he's going to be more involved than a typical U.S. chair. He's already telling you.
It's already stupid, so I'm going with that one. Even
all right, let's
if
move
it's
on.
Not really. All right, let's
move on.
Wait, wrong one.
Come on.
There we go.
That's the first time you've ever screwed up a sound effect. I'm proud.
I don't screw up anything. Goodliest. I have 3.
All right, so let me go first, then I'll let you get on a roll. Mine is Gavin Newsom signs law cracking down on AI in industry. One of the reasons why I like this one is that this is from Futurism, is that they spelled his name wrong in the headline. They call him Gavin Newsom. Only I like that.
That's because AI wrote the headline.
So this is the first AI safety and transparency law in the U.S. I think it's kind of early days to know if this is going to be good or bad, but it's a start. I've already seen headlines headlines suggesting that this is exactly what the tech leaders would have wanted. The penalties for this, unfortunately, are really low, but it does force a disclosure of the safety and security protocols at these AI companies, but it's a start at least, I guess. I just feeling like I've been begging for this
solves anything.
I've been begging for this for 18 months, so I guess I have to applaud this a little bit, right? I mean, the first guy to do this.
I think it's good, but I also don't think that the disclosure by itself solves anything. There has to be accountability.
Well, if shareholders have to be paying attention, and people who are regular people, consumers have to pay attention.
But the big lesson from ESG to me, where the universe of data where we came from, right? That you did all the G, I did ES and G. We were in the data. We were just swimming in data. The big lesson was we kept asking for more and more and more and more disclosure, but investors didn't change their behavior very much. We currently,
but consumers can.
Consumers can, and
but they
how
don't,
often
really.
do they? They don't read the disclosures,
No.
right?
I was going to say there is a headline this week. Meta says it will not allow users to opt out of targeted ads based on AI chats. They won't let you opt out of that. So I'm thinking as a consumer, delete it.
But no one does. Everybody's using Instagram and all the meta stuff.
But you're right. But that disclosure is important. I just think that people need to know what's going on at these places.
Disclosure is only as important as the accountability is that you use with that disclosure, right? Like disclosure is nothing by itself. It requires accountability.
What if we took away like Sam Altman's 8th Hawaii house or something? Like,
could
that work?
Yeah, I'm for that. All right, let me do my 3.
All right.
Number 1, and this is the winner. FDA approves a new generic abortion pill.
How? How did that happen?
I don't know how that happened. Number 1, but I don't know. I think like someone snuck it by.
I'm confused by this.
I don't know this. I don't know what's happening. It must have been long in the works. No one talked about it, and then they just kind of announced it, and now like.
So why don't they approve generic everything pill? Won't that solve the high drug prices problem?
That would, if you took all of Pfizer's portfolio of drugs and said now they're all generic. Guess what? High prices gone. Everything's generic.
I mean, I only buy generic pills now. I go to my Hannaford and
but not Tylenol, right? Because Tylenol gives you autism.
Yeah, I give it to women. Yeah. All right, that is the winner. But keep going.
Here's the other ones. Activist investor wants Target's Brian Cornell completely out.
I like that.
Activist investor. I love that because.
So wait, fill me in here. We're not just voting him off the board out as a CEO too.
Well, Cornell stepped down as CEO.
Oh, right. He's a chair.
Right?
He's
the chair now.
So we're going to vote him. Wait. Okay, so he's the executive chair still. They want to vote him off the board.
Chair of Target, and the accountability board, an activist investor, they actually filed a shareholder proposal seeking to get him out entirely. Now they call it activist investor, but it's a shareholder proposal.
It's interesting because he's an executive. He's technically an executive of the company, so it would be interesting to see. Of course, Target would not. They won't even listen if the voters say vote him out. But I would be interested to see what would happen in a situation like that because he's an executive. Like you're basically firing him.
Yeah, well, that is your right as the owner of the company.
I'm
shares in the company.
I'm for it.
I'm
for it. Yeah.
And then I chose this one because there was one line in this story. There's a story about how Tesla. There's a pop-up while you're driving your Tesla. If it detects that you're falling asleep,
God,
a pop-up comes up and it says, in order to stay focused, you should enable full self-driving.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this article was actually in futurism.
Yeah.
It was
I thought that wasn't real full self-driving. Yeah.
It's not. Well, that's what's great about it, because there's this one line in the article at Futurism. It says, quote, nonetheless, the automaker labels its most advanced driving modes full self-driving, while its CEO and chief overpromiser, Elon Musk, explicitly says that they do, in fact, drive themselves seemingly every other week. I like the chief overpromiser.
Yeah.
I feel like that should be a official title.
Which should be fraud. I mean, from my perspective, it's fraud.
Yeah, but I like that somebody said it without like saying the word fraud. I like that. So those were mine.
It's the generic abortion pill, of course.
Clearly it is, correct? Right? It clearly is. All right, let's just move on. Let's keep the show moving. I changed up this week.
Oh, is this a permanent change, or is this a weekly change?
No, I think this is this week. I'll see if it sticks.
Okay.
But there was a period when I was doing these, and when I'd start with a data point, and then I'd work my way backwards. You remember that? And like I like to change up. That
was a lot of work, a lot of effort.
It was too much work. This one is instead of assholiest of the week, we're gonna go with biggest loser.
You know, I might like this because it's what's really happening every week is that my stories of the week basically are a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe we don't need double asshole.
We don't need double asshole. So now we could just choose
biggest loser,
lost the most,
biggest victim, the
biggest loser.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
All right, first up, U.S. women. We already talked about it.
We did this already. I don't like this.
Bro co-CEO, military women. Basically, we're turning back the dial to 1990. Uber and the sex assault. But there was this one too, and this is the kind of headline that no one would think of when you're thinking about U.S. women losing.
Except for us at Free Float Media.
Except for us at Free Float. KKR appoints former Eaton CEO Craig Arnold to board of directors, increasing independent seats to 11.
We've talked about Craig Arnold before. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is the kind of announcement that we see all the time. In fact, I think in the last 2 weeks, you pulled 180 of these announcements.
I hate it.
Like, it's just announcement after announcement. Somebody joins a board, someone leaves the board, whatever. There are two things to point out. Number one, Craig Arnold's a dude. And number two, he was appointed through an increase in the board size. They increased the number of independent seats.
Dilution effect.
The result was there were 29% women on the board, if we're just counting genitals. Now there's 26%, all just by increasing the size and adding a woman to the board. We cover this in Proxy Countdown all the time. This is the primary method that we're seeing women get pushed out of corporate boards. They are not being asked to resign. They're not being fired. They're not being targeted. It is much more subtle. It is, let's add a board seat and put a man in it. Then, when the woman retires, we replace them with the man. Or, when comes time to review our committees, let's make sure the women have kind of shittier committees. Yeah. The committees nobody wants to be on. Like the
lady committees, like sustainability.
Sustainability.
Or the ones, the audit, the ones you get to work really hard on.
Yeah, you got to work really hard, and nobody likes the shrill woman on the audit committee saying, like, what number is that again? Like, that's the one you can ignore. These are very subtle, very clever ways that corporate boards have figured out.
Except this is the value of us. I'm going to toot our own horn again. When they're not subtle is when you tag them week after week and you realize that there's a collective action happening, right?
There's a lot.
It's subtle only when you're looking at one headline.
And the reason why I chose this as a loser of the week is because this headline also popped this week. Share of female execs at major Japan firms rise to 18.4%.
That's pretty remarkable. Yeah.
So in a country
Japan,
where literally women have had no rights in the history of the country.
I remember when we used to
They are seeing women rise slowly.
We used to write the Women on Boards report for MSCI, and I remember the lack of women in Asia was so glaring and horrible and despicable that I used to say to my bosses, like, can we yell at them? Can we put in there and be like, no, we don't want to offend Asia. This is just the culture over there.
Say something that would hurt someone's feelings.
This is just the culture. But it was so bad that it always made me mental. And even they're turning the corner in a positive direction.
I will say this in defense of the sort of low participation of women in corporate boards in Asia, which still goes to this day. In Asia, they do not have the problem where they have in Scandinavia, where they have in the US and Australia and Canada, all these we love women on our boards countries. In Asia, the women on the board have power equal to their representation. Meaning, in Japan, when a woman gets a board seat, she's not put as a member of the audit committee and told to be quiet and bring everyone tea.
Is that true? You have data to support that?
The data, free flow analytics data, which you can see when you do an average of the gender power gap across countries, what we found, what the data says is that these Asian countries, even in the Philippines and Indonesia, there's very, very few women. But those women, where they exist, have power equal to their representation. Very low representation and not as power equal to it. In countries like Norway and Denmark and Sweden, where they mandate 40% women on the board, those women end up with 20% of the power by getting shit committee assignments or no committee assignments. They are never made the chair of anything. They're often sidelined. They have lower equity
women
stakes.
Washing. Yeah,
it is brilliant. It's a brilliant way to sideline women. So when I see a headline that says this week, women executives in Japan are on the rise, even if slowly, while I'm comparing it to the head of the Department of Defense saying we got to go back to 1990 when women couldn't be in the military. It's absolutely shocking. So biggest loser number 1, U.S. women.
Wait a minute, what else you got?
Biggest loser number 2, spineless companies.
Yeah, Pfizer.
2 headlines here. I didn't even include Pfizer. Here's the headline: Disney's image tanks among Republicans, Democrats after Jimmy Kimmel controversy.
Both sides.
Basically, you flip-flop you were fucking spineless to begin with, Bob Iger. And now, nobody likes you. Literally no one. No one likes you. I think Republicans/Democrats covers everyone, doesn't it? Everyone hates them?
Yeah.
How about Cracker Barrel drops firm behind ill-fated logo change? They're desperately trying to say it wasn't our fault now.
That's just Cracker Barrel. That's just dumb that you're. I know you leaked that to the press, or maybe you even you maybe put out that press release. That's just desperate.
The CEO said it was years of extensive research they did to come up with that new logo. Just stick with it, you moron.
To be fair, with it. I will say this: the new logo did suck. I will say that.
Of course it did. It was just the name of the company. It was stupid. But
you know that company I read yesterday, that the company that they fired was founded by Scott Galloway, the pivot.
Oh, really?
Dude. Yeah.
Womp womp.
All right.
So spineless companies. Number 3, biggest loser. Yeah. Investors.
Well, you always say investors for everything.
No, but investors
Go
is
ahead,
the biggest loser. This is an asshole. This is a loser. Here's why. U.S. states are shedding shareholder protections. That's an advantage for Canada. That's the headline.
This is the Musk effect. The what do they call it? Dexit.
Dexit.
Running
all the
to
companies
Texas
who are running
from
to Texas and Nevada and looking for places where to re-domicile so that there's no shareholder protections, removing minority shareholder protections in favor of the largest shareholders, who basically are already in bed with all of these companies to begin with. Investors, you're losing. You lose in that transaction. You approve that stuff and you still lose.
No, they approve everything. Yeah. Pay attention.
How about preparing the board for 2026? More than half of directors want a peer replace, survey finds. That's what you mentioned.
That's the best.
Half of directors look around the room and they want one of those people gone.
So it's more than that. If half admitted that, it's more.
It's more, yeah. It's because that's the half that said it. Yeah. Which means investors, you big fucking losers.
At least, and by the way,
vote someone out.
And to be clear, according to the survey, it's at least one of their peers should be.
At least one. That's correct.
Yeah,
at least one. That means more than one in some cases or many cases.
I love that.
Do you know the rate that investors vote out the directors who
they don't
know that at least one of them? So the average board size for a large cap U.S. company is about 9 to 10, right? Which means about 10% of every board, one person, should be voted out according to directors. 10% should be your turnover rate of voting out people who are incompetent or shouldn't be there. Investors, you big fat fucking losers, you vote out 0.2% of directors. I don't know math very well, but that's a 9.8% difference, I think.
How about
you
this?
are voting out no one. You used none of your rights. You're getting them taken away. And you guys are big losers because you can't even spot the shit directors that are working there on your behalf. And then I saw this one, this headline. FedEx shareholders elect Richard Smith, son of founder Fred Smith, to board of directors.
I don't get super nerdy for this second. So I went to the FedEx proxy. The only time that they tell you that founder Fred Smith is his father is they're in the very opening of the proxy. You know, they always have a little corny letter they write to shareholders, and then there's a big dopey signature beneath it from one of the executives. The only time they list in that paragraph that Fred is his father, but nowhere else, not in his bio, nowhere. They even mentioned some of Fred's other family members that work at FedEx. It's the only time they say it, right in the letter, but not in the body of the text, not anywhere. I find that to be really weird. Like, I don't know. I find it to be strange. If I
remember right, isn't FedEx like a dual class company too? And Fred Smith owns the
I don't
voting
remember
rights
if it,
there?
I don't know if that's one of the companies that got rid of that, but that used to be the case. I'd have to look that up.
I do know that Richard Dick Smith got the lowest vote total for as a result.
Yeah,
so he was elected.
Because you don't need the son of a founder. You don't need that.
But what are we doing, you losers? You big fat losers? Why would more than any of you? Why would more than zero investors vote for Richard Smith on this board? Do you need that? Is that a requirement that we nepo baby every board that's ever had a founder? Like, we laughed when we openly mocked Adam Newman, who at WeWork wanted his wife to run the board, the company, if he were to die. We openly mock that when they put that in the registration statement. And you vote in the son of the founder at FedEx? FedEx is a large, mature company. We do not need the founder there at all. They're not special anymore. They were special 40 years ago when they founded it. So investors, big loser.
All right.
Next big loser. You ready for this?
Yeah, it looks like, before we move on, it looks like the FedEx is currently one share, one vote.
Is it? Then Fred Smith I must have in my memory that he owned a lot of the shares or something.
I mean, I could be wrong,
because
but that was the case.
He has 64% influence on this board.
Yeah. Well, founder.
Which means he owns more than 5% and he's a founder.
Yeah.
So he has an outsized vote.
Yeah, the estate of Fred Smith controls currently over 7% of the vote, which is very high for a company of this nature. But yeah, keep going.
Next one. Next big loser, the climate.
Oh.
It's a big week for losing on the climate.
Yeah, I don't like this.
New BP chair urges faster pivot to oil and gas.
What does that even mean, pivot to oil and gas? Aren't we already there?
Isn't that what they do? Like, what are we pivoting?
Yeah.
What are we pivoting? Duke Energy backs off renewables after North Carolina cuts climate goal.
Well, of course, yeah.
Good for you, Duke Energy, for having conviction.
Congrats, North Carolina. Yeah.
In fact, they decided to go back to coal is one of the things they're going to go back to.
I'm sure the people who live on the coast of North Carolina are thrilled about that.
Trump administration cancels nearly $8 billion in climate funding to blue states.
Yeah, he's mad at blue states.
That's Vote or Rich. What's his name? Russ Vogt. MAGA comes for. I love this headline. MAGA comes for the woke Pope.
Yeah, this is a new one.
After Pontiff blesses block of ice in climate change gesture.
So now even the Pope is woke.
The Catholic Church has
probably
to
the most unwoke organization
be the
in the
least
history.
woke organization.
Yeah,
you still
absolutely.
can't be a female pastor. Pete Hegseth must be loving them, right?
Yes,
like dial the clock back down to 0 AD.
Can't be openly gay. Can't be a woman.
Can't be gay. Can't be a woman. Can't be in the clergy. Right?
Yeah.
That's the woke pope we're talking about.
They've still never had a pope from Africa, I believe. Right? They've never had a black pope, right?
And then finally, OpenAI's new data centers will draw more power than the entirety of New York City, Sam Altman says.
I don't like that. Yeah.
So climate, big fat fucking loser this week. And then finally, last option, everyone else is a big loser.
Okay, now you're just getting silly.
Well, look, I don't know how to do this. Look, I'm just going to read the headlines, okay? Yeah. And tell me that everyone else isn't a big loser this week.
Yeah. Godfather of AI says we're barreling straight towards human extinction. Yes, but AI helps us like write better emails. It helps us like with our horses, our racehorses. So just slow down. Just slow down. My horses are better. I can track them better. Yeah, don't worry about the extinction yet. Let's just like write better emails. OpenAI says it's worried about doom scrolling, addiction, isolation, and slopmatized feeds. Yeah, this is one of my favorites because I love when Sam Altman. When you say OpenAI, you mean Sam Altman. I love when he's. I love this. This is like the new Jamie Dimon says. Like Sam Altman's worried about something. Sam Altman worries. Jamie Dimon says, and yet, Sammy boy is building data centers that needed the same amount of power as the entire city of New York, which is roll out those money. If you haven't been to New York City, I'll tell you this: it's big. There's a lot of people live there. You already mentioned Meta won't allow users to opt out of targeted ads based on AI chats, but you didn't mention Larry Ellison once predicted citizens will be on their best behavior amid constant recording. Now his company will play a key role in social media. He's also being referred to watch you. He's also being referred to currently as the shadow president of the U.S. And then finally, the wealth of the top 1% reaches a record $52 trillion. Oh, maybe this is why Elon Musk wants everybody else not losing? Yeah, maybe this is why Elon Musk needs more money because too many people are catching up to him. To his wealth. If he hits that $1 trillion mark, he will represent like 2% of all of the 1%. All right, just stop. All right, this is exhausting me. Who's your biggest loser? Women, spineless companies, investors, climate, or everyone else? This is the year of the war on women. I shouldn't say this is the year. I mean, unfortunately it's been going on for a long time. I thought we had turned a bit of a corner. So this is where my focus is. I'm focused on these stories and yeah. So I'm going to say women, U.S. women. All right, I will concur, even though I don't get a vote. All right, let's do headlines, winners, predictions. I'm so glad we could depress our audience of two. On a weekly basis. If we have any new listeners, is that even possible? Does anyone even know about us? So. No. We don't advertise. We don't do social media. I don't even know how anyone would know about us. But I will say one thing. If you listen to some of our archives from like 5 years ago or whatever, we didn't always used to be like this. It's true. The corporate world has changed. The world itself has changed dramatically. So it's not completely our fault. We used to just talk about like, a lead director is stepping down, like stuff like that. But you know what? The world's gone nuts. The world's gone nuts. Once a year, we used to do something called March Sadness, where we actually, as a joke, pitted companies that like against each other in a tournament, and it was just jokes about headlines that we read and whatever. It was March Sadness. We would draft companies. We would do brackets. It was fun. Now we're too depressed to do anything like that. Speaking of which, my headlines of the week, speaking of all the billionaire man-baby college dropouts who are getting rich off their social media empires, 94% of Gen Z youth report experiencing regular mental health challenges. How about that? I don't like that for a headline. 94%. And for all of us that are parents, we know this to be true. There is not a single no one in my house, none of their friends are not experiencing mental health challenges. It is everywhere. It is unbelievable. Really unbelievable. It's inescapable is what it is. It is. Well, this one I think is a much better headline than that, because that made me feel bad, but this made me feel giggly. Police pull over Waymo to check for drunk driving. Yeah, wasn't there another one that you were talking about where they pulled over one of these car companies and there was driverless, so they couldn't give it a ticket?
Yeah, so a Waymo did a illegal U-turn and they pulled it over. And then they went over there and it was a driverless car. And they were like, what do we do? Who do we give a ticket to?
Can't we just send the ticket to the board chair or something? Like,
I just love that. I think it's fabulous.
All right.
Actually, I am waiting for the day where we can sue an AI, like sue like the entity, and just
I just want to sue the CEOs and owners of social media companies. Can I do that first?
Who do you have as a winner of the week?
Okay, I'm going to slow the show down a bit because this is really getting to me. So my winner of the week, of course, is Daniel Ek, and I have a bit to say about Daniel. So
Spotify's ex-CEO.
I just want to point out something about this guy. So first of all, this is the dude who got rich by devaluing artists and a bunch of other things, but I'll just sum it up by there. And you actually mentioned that earlier. And this is what he's doing. He's doing what everyone else does in this field. He's taking that wealth and he's using his billionaire ego to create a vanity money spending company. He created one with this pretentious name called Prima Materia, which means the formless primeval substance regarded as the original material of the universe. I mean, already this right? Like I'm out. Like Daniel, like I'm out on you. Like you suck. But Prima Materia says it wants to partner with exceptional people to build companies that leverage technology to help solve meaningful problems for society. Daniel, you don't have the expertise to do this. Again, you got rich ripping off artists. Like, who are you to even know what the meaningful problems are for society? But anyway, he set up this company. This is an active company. In fact, they're in the news because they invested in Helsing, which I shit you not, literally builds weapons. Things like military strike drones. Yes, the CEO, the former CEO of Spotify.
That is a meaningful problem for society.
Is heavily invested in military strike drones, just like the idiots over at Google.
Yeah, but that's a meaningful problem for society. He didn't say good. He said meaningful.
The other big investment they have is something called Nico Health, which they call the Apple of healthcare, which means I'm already out on it because it's obviously just made up nonsense. They charge users £300 an hour for preventative screenings like mole checks. So again, Dr. Daniel Ek now is doing the work that doctor. So what, Matt? Why go see your doctor when you can just hook up to Daniel Ek's mole checking machine for something that regular workers can't afford anyway? So just go do that. So anyway,
well, it's $300 an hour. How long does it take to check my mole? Like 2 minutes.
I want to say a little bit more about this. He set up this company with a man named Shaquille Khan, okay? This is important. They're co-founders of this horrible investment company. Again, this is what now Daniel Ek's going to have more time to focus on this horrible company that builds bombs and drones. Now, Shaquille Khan is a fellow Spotify investor and close personal friend with Daniel Ek. In fact, he also has a criminal past, including stealing cars and some drug convictions. Now, he was accused of hiding his real role at Spotify during its IPO. In fact, I got out all of Spotify's IPO listings with the SEC. And yes, you're right, you don't see Shaquille Khan's name anywhere, despite the fact that he has been publicly described on the internet and various articles as these following things, right? These are all the things that Shaquille Khan has been called: the head of special projects at Spotify, an advisor to Daniel Ek, a personal advisor to the Spotify CEO, an investor in Spotify, a founder of Spotify, a consigliere of Spotify, second in command in a prominent public role at Spotify. But again, they swallowed his name, and he's because they didn't want to scare off investors. He is now the co-founder of this stupid Prima Materia. Also, Khan, he cites Mark Zuckerberg as the American leader he admires most. But here's my true winner of the week. It is Daniel Ek, who really could be any of the billionaire man babies who've decided because they got lucky forming an app that degrades the world, that now they have the riches to to become doctors and build bombs or whatever they think benefits humanity. Whatever.
When is governance going to be the app that degrades the world? Can we make those riches at least?
Exhausted by these guys. Really, I'm exhausted.
I have a much simpler winner.
Yeah,
of the week.
Sorry, I had to get out that of my chest. Thank you.
It is Ron Sugar.
Oh,
who twice. He's on the Apple board of directors.
Yes,
You've never heard
one
of him.
One of your favorite directors.
CEO of Northrop Grumman. He's been on he's on the Uber board. He's on some of the most powerful boards in the country.
Another pointless company.
But he's twice on the Apple board had them waive his age limit because the Apple has an age limit, and he's
Why
twice
have rules?
had it. Why even have
rules,
a rule?
right, Ron?
Like you're just going to waive it anyway.
Yeah.
I saw this headline, and I knew everything was going to end up A-OK when he finally gets off the Apple board, probably this year. Dr. Ronald Sugar and Gilman Louie join Ursa Major's board of directors. It is a rocket company.
No.
It is. They do space rockets and more rockets.
We're doomed.
And he's still on the board. So Ron Sugar, congratulations getting another board role. I think it's like his 12th in our database.
No, he was a doctor. What does he have a doctorate in? Do we know?
Yeah, he's like a legitimately, qualified guy when it comes to like engineering and stuff.
Engineering.
Yeah, he's an engineer, but like,
good for him.
How many boards does a dude need to be on, and how many of them need to be some of the worst companies on the planet? Northrop
Chevron,
Grumman, Uber, Chevron.
I mean, what are we doing here?
What are we doing? Like,
I don't.
Literally, he's
awful.
He reps some of the most heinous companies I can think of.
Yeah.
All right, predictions.
My prediction. I had to give you my winner of the week of Daniel X just to set up this dumb joke. Here, my prediction: Daniel X Prima Materia, which I just talked about, leads a 600 million euro Series D strategic financing round for Moodify, a new app called Moodify, an AI-supported app that will quote unquote end depression by pushing algorithmically optimized dopamine ads 24/7. Think TikTok for sadness.
Did you just make that up, or is that a real thing? That
sounds
sounds like a real thing.
I made all that up, but
that
yeah,
sounds like
it does sound
thing.
real, unfortunately, doesn't it?
That sounds creepily real.
Yeah, Daniel, if you're listening, go ahead and steal the idea, because you probably will anyway, because you're going to come up with something that doesn't benefit humanity.
All right, I have an easy one. After reading this headline, Apollo Global Management Director Pauline Richards resigns from board.
Okay.
The board actually drops from 15 people to 14. It's now 4 women and 10 men.
Yeah.
Mark Rowan, who's the CEO and chair, owns 63% of board influence according to Freeflow Analytics. No one really matters, but I predict that Pauline Richards will be replaced by a male director to get them from 33% female to 27% female in one fell resignation. That's my prediction.
This is a really serious prediction you have here.
That's a real prediction.
Yeah, real prediction.
I don't make many real predictions.
Yeah.
That's all we got. That's Hazelnut Rawls.
That's all we got. That's way too much.
Matt Mascardi. What is my name? I don't even know. We're free float. Go to freeflowanalytics.com. Go check that out because it's free. And you get on the zine list.
Support independent ESG journalism, whatever we do. I don't even know what we are. Support
and then you get the zine in your inbox, which actually allows you to read all the things that we're covering every single week. Also, go check out Shareholder Primacy by Mike Levin and Ann Lipton. It's another podcast. It's about the law. They just did mandatory arbitration. It was a deep dive into what that is and why it matters. Fascinating stuff, even if you hate like law and law stuff. If you like capital markets, it's good. And go check out our other podcast, Proxy Countdown, which is where we're more serious, right? Like we just did, just covered gambling lines for the future of 2026 proxy season. So it sounds more serious, doesn't it? That's it. Come back next week. Until then, good.